get this ceremony out here for you. And I have to do that. Breathe, 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 breathe. Okay. Breathe. Reverend Ministers of Religious Science, we present to you Reverend S. Tucker to be ordained into the ministry of the Church of Religious Science. And I am acknowledged here to present a few facts to you about her ministry. That she graduated from what is now Holmes Institute in Denver region 1997, immediately co-founded the Denver Church of Religious Science in the heart of the city. The location for that church, which was serendipitously the historic Ralph Waldo Emerson building. After 1.5 years, she served Sacred Circle Church in North Glen. This was the church she helped found with Reverend Marilyn Earhart during the 3 years that Reverend Tucker was the board president. Then in the year 2000, and exactly on January 16th, the first service of the Oasis Center was held here in this space. And there have been major renovations during this last year, and boy, have there ever. I didn't recognize them, and it's absolutely beautiful, just beautiful. Among her other duties as a minister that I mentioned during my talk, she has a unique animal ministry supporting when an animal is in the hospital or emergency room or making its transition. I believe it's one of a kind in this city. Her involvement as a minister reaches beyond this community because she serves as the chair of the technical corps for the United Church of Religious Science. And there is more. There is more because she is such a blessing to those of us who are colleagues. And I have to say this. I've been so blessed to have a lot of angels in my life, a lot of angels, and some of them are in this room. I see you, and I say your names, but this is Tucker's night, so. Back in March, when I had some surgery, and Lynn and Tucker took care of me a little, and then she insisted on staying with me for 2 weeks. So she put aside her ministry, with the exception of running here to teach a class, and then Lynn came and stayed with me. And then she'd run home at 11 o'clock so he could go home and take care of their sick dog at the time. I wouldn't be here tonight. I am seriously mean that if it weren't for her doing that and being there. Because I blithely just said, I think something's wrong, and then I went to bed. And she called my doctor. So thank you for being an angel in my life. Thank you.
So it is perhaps appropriate that I ask you this question.
Yes.
Are you convinced that this person whom you are presenting is in fact prepared and worthy for the office and work of an ordained minister of religious science?
Okay, here's where we get the formal stuff. We have inquired concerning Reverend Tucker and believe her to be both prepared and worthy.
Reverend Tucker has been found to be prepared and worthy to receive ordination in this church, having now completed the requisite period of licentiate ministry. Your presenting minister will now officially charge you with those duties to which you have one last chance.
Scoot out the door.
And to respond with all your heart.
That's what I want to do. Reverend Tucker, we stand here as innumerable people have stood here before us, acknowledging God. We have done our utmost in the world, failing or succeeding, and now we stand within this sanctuary, before the eternal. And what we have done or not done is swallowed up in this moment. We have worked and now we celebrate. We have entered into the making of the world, but that is not enough, for we stand here this evening with a desire that the awareness of God should be more fully experienced in our lives by the act of spiritual ordination. In the words of the 90th Psalm, let the favor of our God be upon us, and establish thou the work of our hands. A minister is to do things needful and helpful to others. They must live with the people, think with their mind, feel with their heart, see with their eyes, hear with their ears, and elevate each of these aspects to its divine level, according to the heavenly prototype. A minister must possess a heart that loves, comforts, and heals. Breadth of heart is that inward freedom which is the power to understand, to feel, and to serve. Breadth of heart you have. Of this element you are well endowed, and I charge you with the commitment to love humanity, to be generous and unselfish in your love, and to respect the freedom and the dignity of all. The kingdom of heaven is within you. It is yours for the taking and the using. Prove this in your life and your work. Our founder, Ernest Holmes, wrote, "I would rather see a student of this science prove its principle than to repeat all the words of wisdom that have ever been uttered. Remain steadfast and true to your ideals. Let your thoughts be centered always on the realization of the divine presence in every person. I charge you to go, teach, heal, love, minister to all, and may the peace of God abide richly in your heart, so that your labor may be fruitful forever."
Reverend Tucker, the United Church of Religious Science has consented to the convening of this ordination service in recognition of the fact that your ministry is precious to us. This church offers you the celebration to demonstrate your sincerity and commitment to its ever-enlarging dream of growth in consciousness that will lift the human spirit and heal the troubled world. It is right and fitting that you should pledge your allegiance to the church in whose name you will exercise your ministry. Are you now prepared and willing to publicly pledge your commitment to this doctrine as an ordained minister of religious science?
I am.
Do you dedicate yourself to respond faithfully to the needs of all those who call upon you?
I do.
Do you have the realization that God is spirit, universal presence, and that this divine presence is everywhere just as life is everywhere present?
I do.
Do you have the faith of God in humanity, in life, in the concept of unity, in your church, and in this, your ordination?
I do. I do.
Do you pledge to teach that God is principle and presence, love and law, the same yesterday, today, and forever?
I do.
Tucker, the greatest of the mystics were people of power because they were people of prayer. Be reminded that when we pray, we find that our prayers are answered abundantly, overwhelmingly, above all that we ask or think. Be ever aware that a minister who is too busy to take the time to pray is a great deal busier than God ever intended you to be. It is easy to get caught up in the business of church. Do not let that be mistaken for the business of your ministry or the business of God. Beloved minister and friend, day by day, through all circumstances, no matter what others may do or say, in all things everywhere, think to pray. Come alone, sacred, solitary to face the great reality. Reverend Tucker, I am so honored to be able to say to you that by the authority vested in me by the United Church of Religious Science, I do now confer upon you ordination as a minister of religious science. Exercise this ministry to be a faithful steward in fulfillment of that with all rights, privileges, and obligations pertaining thereto. It is my privilege to present to you this certificate as public acknowledgement of your ordination, when all of those people come who aren't part of this night because they didn't know yet, when they walk into your office, let this be in a conspicuous place. A very conspicuous place. I'd frame it in purple if I were you.
I will.
It says here, be it known that the core council, by virtue of the authority in it vested, has authorized and hereby certifies to the recognition of S. Tucker as ordained minister of religious science, with all honors, privileges, and obligations thereunto appertaining. This recognition is made at Burbank, California. We could have just handed it to me. And is in full force, thank God, and effect on the 24th day of September, 2004. On behalf of the officiating ministers here, we who are ordained ministers of religious science extend to you, Reverend Tucker, the right hand of fellowship. This is the official.
That's the official.
Right hand.
The right hand.
And Dr. Marjorie's over
Since
there.
it's all God, it really shouldn't matter what hand. The United Church of Religious Science has a special gift for newly ordained ministers, which is a symbol of this new station, which they've just acquired. And the conferring of that particular gift, which is the one symbol that stays with us throughout the ministry, is, in the words of the song, a momentous moment. Dr. Kathleen and Reverend Lynn, because you are so very much a part of this, will you please step forward for the presentation and conferring of the stone?
It's right in the middle. How's that?
Yeah,
That'll
you
work.
stand here. You stand here.
In United Church of Religious Science, the ordination stole is an outer symbol of the inner commitment that we make to ourselves. Whether it is during an ordination ceremony for a colleague in United Church, or a rite of passage for a congregant, or for our own purposes, each time we wear a robe and place the stole upon our shoulders, it is a reminder of our commitment to living a conscious spiritual life and the journey which brought us to our own ordination. The stole is white, reflecting the clean, clear connection we have always had to the God source within. It is trimmed in gold to remind us that we are always surrounded by the glowing light of love. The inward side is smooth satin, soft, like a silent, snowy field which calls upon us again and again into the silent, gentle communion with spirit each time we touch it. The outward surface is linen, each stole having its own unique weave, just like the unique ministry it represents. We see in its pattern the threads of the many lives and events which are woven into these ministries. The family members and personal friends who are so understanding of our time commitments. The board members, the practitioners and volunteers with whom we have served. The newest member is there as well as the first one, within the weave of the stole. Some of the threads were bunched up in the weaving, as it happens with linen, that they may look like flaws and failures and false starts, yet if we pick at them and try to remove them, the fabric strength is weakened by their absence. So as our hands feel their presence, and we bless them in the memories of the things that made them part of the tapestry of our ministry, realizing we would not notice them at all if the greater surface around them were not smooth, like the good times, the successful events, the times that were most fulfilling. The act of placing this stole on our shoulders and on Tucker's shoulders links us to the clergy and spiritual teachers around the globe and across the continents and across the centuries. Wearing it